July 1924. A remote canyon on the eastern slope of Mount St. Helens, Washington. 5 miners working a gold claim hear something moving in the trees, then rocks begin striking their cabin. Not pebbles. Boulders. What happened over the next 12 hours was reported to local authorities and covered by newspapers across the Pacific Northwest. The lead witness was Fred Beck, a prospector with years of experience in the Cascades. He and his partners, Gabe Lefevre, John Peterson, Marion Smith, and Roy Smith, had been working their claim near a steep gorge locals called Ape Canyon. They built a cabin there for the season. By their account, trouble started 2 days before the attack. According to Beck's account, the miners spotted a large, upright creature watching them from the tree line, roughly 7 to 8 feet tall, covered in dark hair, moving on 2 legs. One of the men fired at it. The creature retreated into the forest. The miners returned to their cabin that evening. They left the door open. That turned out to be a mistake. Around midnight, the miners were woken by impacts on the roof and walls. According to their statements, multiple creatures were throwing rocks at the structure, some stones too heavy, they said, for a single man to lift. Beck described at least 3 separate figures moving around the cabin, communicating with each other in guttural sounds throughout the assault. Beck also described a moment where one creature reached through a gap in the cabin wall. A miner struck it with the butt of a rifle. At one point an arm came through the door. According to the account, the men fired weapons repeatedly through the walls and roof throughout the night. The attack did not stop until just before dawn. When daylight came, the miners left. They did not go back for their equipment. They hiked out and reported what had happened to the forest ranger station at Spirit Lake. The ranger on duty, J.H. Huffman, documented their account. Within days, local newspapers in Portland and Seattle were running the story. A group of townspeople traveled to the site to investigate. The civilian party that visited Ape Canyon found the cabin damaged. They reported large tracks in the soft volcanic soil, impressions consistent with a very large bipedal animal. The canyon was given its current name following these events. The incident was referenced in subsequent decades by researchers and repeated in regional newspapers as late as the 1930s. The case was revisited in the 1960s when interest in Bigfoot increased following the Patterson-Gimlin film. Researcher René de Hinden interviewed Fred Beck directly. Beck remained consistent in his account. In 1967, Beck co-wrote a short memoir titled I Fought the Ape Men of Mount St. Helens. No physical evidence beyond the reported tracks was formally preserved from the original 1924 investigation. The skeptical explanation centers on a local group of young men from the nearby town of Spirit Lake who were later rumored to have played a prank on the miners using rocks. No one ever confirmed this, and no individual came forward. Critics also note the physical improbability, the scale and duration of the reported assault, the size of the rocks, and the consistency of all 5 witnesses across multiple interviews. 5 men filed a report. A ranger documented it. Tracks were found. No one ever produced a confession for a hoax, and none of the witnesses retracted their account. The canyon still carries the name those events gave it. So what do you think? Is there a rational explanation, or is something else going on? Drop a comment below, and if you've had an encounter of your own, we want to hear about it. Subscribe to WT Historical for more documented cases from the edge of history.